Today we'll be going over labels in Tkinter. Some people pronounce it Tkinter. I personally pronounce it Tkinter. It doesn't really matter. So labels are just text. So if you've seen a program and it says please enter your username or please enter your password, those are labels. So that's what we'll be doing today. To write the code, I'll be using Atom, or you can use Sublime Text. Doesn't really matter. And to execute the code, I'll be executing it through terminal. And so if you're not really aware of how to do that, you can use a Python IDE. That doesn't really matter. So first of all, I'm just going to quickly save this Python script. I'll name it labels.py. And so what we need to do first is to import the actual Tkinter module. So we'll do from Tkinter import everything. So this is the symbol for everything. Yeah. And then what we need to do now is we need to initialize the actual window where everything's going to be in. So what we need to do is root is equal to tk, and that's it. That just makes the actual window. And so the most important part is we need to type in root.mainLoop. And what this does is, basically, if you were to have a GUI and you execute it, if you did not have this, it would just run through the code once, and that's it, and it would close immediately. We need the main loop to just keep on going through the code and seeing if, for example, you press a button or something, then it has to detect that. And so if this wasn't here, it'd only go through the code once, and that's it. So it would be unusable. So yeah. So first of all, first we'll just quickly save this, and then I'll show you what happens when you run this code. So Python 3 labels.py, and so we just get a window, a Tkinter window. That's it. So you can change the size of the window by doing root.geometry, and then you can type in the size you want, depending on pixels. So 500 times 500. Oops. And you'll end up with something like this. And basically you can just change the size, though I won't be using this because I won't be using it for now, because the size of the window changes as you add more things. So first we'll make a label. So let's do label 1. And so which label 1 is equal to label, which is the actual widget. So we're making the widget. And then inside of here you can have your parameters and different things. So for example, text is equal to, and you type in text, so let's say hello there, and then that's it. So if you were to just run this code, as you can see, it's not on here, and the reason is because we made a variable label1, which is just the label, but we haven't called it, so it won't appear. So what we need to do is we need to do label1.pack, and basically what this does is it just puts it on the screen, and that's it. And the .pack, it just puts it in any place. So if there's space somewhere, it just puts it in. So if we switch this on, if we run this, we get this window that says hello there. That's it. And so there's another way of calling the actual variable where the widget is stored by using .grid. And so there you actually have columns, rows, and more complex things, but we'll be going over that a bit later, because you need multiple multiple labels, multiple widgets or whatever to be present, so that you can actually use .grid, because the columns and rows are relative to all the labels and widgets. And so now we can start formatting the label. And so there's a bunch of different parameters and stuff they can use. So FG is foreground, BG is background, and so we'll go through all of them. So FG is foreground, and we can in this variable where we have this, we can add in FG, and you can type in I don't know, red, and so then it'll just be red like this. And if you use, because Tkinter has a couple of set colors, so red, blue, white, orange, just super basic colors, but you can use hexadecimal colors, yeah. So if you were to just pick a color, I don't know, let's choose like a blue color, like this. So we have something like this, and then we can run the code, and here we go, it's blue. So you can use hex colors or regular, white, blue, orange, stuff like that. Background, it basically like highlights the code. So background, let's do red. So yeah, this is basically what it does, and it doesn't fill in the whole screen. It looks like it's filling in the whole screen, but it only fills in what the text, the background of the text. You can also change the font of the label and stuff like font size, whether it's bold, italic, or underlined, by using the parameter font. And so, first you can type in the font that you want to use. So in this case, I'll be using Times, which is Times New Roman. Then you can type in the font size, then whether you want it bold, and yeah, that's kind of it. So if you run the code, this is what you'll get. So yeah, it just says hello there, and it's bold, and it's in Times. So we can make it bigger. So for example, if we made it 26, as you can see, it makes it bigger. You can also specify if you want it to be italics, so italic and underline. And so, as you can see, it changes to this. Oh, and also, by the way, if you're using something like PyCharm or something, what I'm doing here doesn't really matter because I'm just executing the code, that's it. Also, if you're, as you can see in the window, the title of the window is TK. You can change that by typing in root.title, and you can change the name title, so let's call it labels. And so when you're in the code, it says labels. It's pretty easy. Something else you can do is justify. And so justify can either be, left, right, or, center. And basically, that's when you have a lot of text. So you have, a paragraph of text. It'll basically just change its position to be left, right, or center. Basically, it's pretty self-explanatory, but in this case, it won't really work because we only have 2 words. We also have, there's also pad X and pad Y. And if you've ever done HTML or CSS, you might know what padding is. So if you type in pad X is equal to, I don't know, 20, it'll add padding to either side of basically, you'll see. As you can see, it has added some padding to the left side and to the right side, to both sides. And if you were to do pad Y, basically does the same thing, but like the y-axis, the top and bottom, goes to 50. Here it padded it on both sides. You can also specify the relief of the label. It's basically like the border, and so you can do a relief is equal to, let's say, just solid. There's a bunch of different things you could put into here. There are a lot of websites where they show you what you can type in, and so I'll show you most of them though. So solid, you'll just get a border like that. I'm not sure if you can see it, but yeah. And then you have sunken, changes it a bit. It's pretty small. Or raised. So here it changes it. And you can change the width of the border by using BD. And so let's say BD is 5, because by default it's, I think, 2. Yeah. And so we put it to 5. It's a lot thicker, so you can already see that it's raised. And so there's a bunch of different, things you can put in here. And also keep in mind that when you type in, raised, sunken, stuff like that, it needs to be all caps, since Python is caps sensitive. It needs to be all caps, otherwise it won't work. So if I were to do raised without any caps, it would, as you can see, it gives me an error over here. So it has to be caps. So I'll just keep it solid for now. And yeah, it's like that. Since this is Python, you can use variables for the parameters. So for example, if we have text, so we can use text1 is equal to hello there, and then we have this set to text1. It'll do the same thing. So as you can see, it still says hello there. And for example, for font, you can do the same thing, except you can use a tuple. So for example, we'll have times, comma, 26, comma, italic, comma, bold, comma, underline. And so, and set this to font1. Oops. And so yeah, we get the same thing. And also make, again, since Python is case sensitive, make sure that these are not capitalized, so the I isn't capitalized, stuff like that. Also make sure that this is capitalized. That's kind of it for formatting labels. Now we'll start going into, what .pack is and the parameters that we can use for it. So for example, there are some main parameters, one of which is fill. So fill can either be, you can either fill, the x-axis or the y-axis. So if we were to do fill is equal to x, so for now, if it's without fill, and we run it, and we just move it around, as you can see, it just stays there. But if we had fill is equal to x, so the x-axis, this is what we get. So as we move it, it just fills up this area, so it basically sticks to both the sides. And then the same thing for fill is equal to y. Another thing is you can pack it on a side. So side is equal to, let's say, left, and then it'll be on the left side. So when we move this around, as you can see, it's on the left side. Same thing for bottom. Oh, bottom. I know. Top, right. It's the same thing. However, .pack isn't really used that much because it's kind of primitive. It just shoves everything into the window. .grid is used more commonly because you can organize things better. So we'll start using .grid right now, and so right away, if we just use .grid, there won't be much of a difference. It'll be the exact same. But if we were to have another label, so let's say label 2 is equal to label, then we have text is equal to, let's say this is, or no, let's just do label 2, and then BG is equal to, let's take a color, say green, So we'll have this. And we haven't called it yet, so it'll stay the same because we need to like, call it here. So we'll do label 2 dot grid. And since we haven't put in any parameters, it'll just put it in there for now, like that. And so what we can do is we can do column is equal to 0. Columns and rows, they start from 0, so 0 is the first column. Column is equal to 0, row is equal to 1. And if we were to do column is equal to 0, row is equal to 0, because column is equal to 0, row is equal to 1. So same thing, this is in column 1, this is in column 0, this is also in column 0. However, this is in row 0, and this is in row 1. But if we were to change this to column 1 and column 0, we'd get it like this. So this is in column 0, row 0, this is in column 1, row 0. And so as we were to have, if we were to have a lot more, labels and widgets and stuff and we would have a combination of different widgets, we'd have to start using the grid function. And so let's, for example, say that we wanted to have a big title for both of these. First of all, I'll remove the padding, just that it's a bit easier. So let's quickly look at this. Yep, it's like that. And let's say we want to have a title. Title is equal to label. And then text is equal to this is a title. FG is equal to, I don't know, let's have red. So that, and then we'll have BG is equal to, let's have it purple. And so here we do title dot grid, and we just do this. It would just be like dot pack, except it just puts it in somewhere. And so what we want to do is we want the title to span 2 columns, right? So it's at the above these 2 columns. So first thing we need to do is make this make the title a bit wider. So we'll add some padding. So pad x is equal to let's make it 50. Let's quickly check it out. So that should be wide enough. Let's quickly make it 60. Yeah, that's fine. And so now let's quickly change this to row 1, and so that we free up row 0 for this. And so we'll have column is equal to 0, row is equal to 0, right? And then we can use column span is equal to 2. So it spans 2 columns. So you can see over here we have, this is column 0, row 0, column 0, row 1, and column 1, row 1. And so basically we made it so that the title spans both of these columns, and we can do the same thing for rows, so it'll be just row span. Some of the other parameters for the dot grid function include pad x and pad y. So similar to the pad x in the label, this applies padding to the outside of the label, so not inside. For example, if we were to do pad x is equal to 20, okay, we get some padding on that outside over here. So if we were to do pad y is equal to 20, again, we get padding on the top and bottom except outside of the border. And also we have some other parameters called iPadX and iPadY, and basically they stand for inside pad x and inside pad y, and they do the same thing, the exact same thing as the pad x inside the label. So if you were to remove pad x is equal to 50 from the label function, we put into here I pad x is equal to 50, it'll be the exact same. So if we were to not have this, it would be without the padding inside. So yeah, as you can see, this just adds padding to the inside. Another thing is sticky. And so if we had, if you wanted both sides of the label to be attached to both sides of the window, we would use sticky. And so it would be hard to use padding for that, because we would have to know the precise measurement, precise length between these two sides of the window. So for that we can use sticky. So first of all, let's remove all the padding, because that's kind of unnecessary when we use sticky. And so this is sticky. And so for the sides we use north, south, east, west. So I want it to stick to the east and west, so right and left. And so we're west and east. So west plus east. So you know, north is N, south is S, west is W, and east is E. So yeah, as you can see, it attaches to this, except it doesn't work like the fill function, so it doesn't automatically keep on going on because we're using grids, and so there are columns here. So yeah, that's about it for the grid function, and we'll do some more things with labels. And so Tkinter allows you to add images to the label. So if you were to have, let's see, I have an image here. So I have the BT5 logo. And unfortunately, Tkinter only accepts .gif images and some other formats that aren't too popular. So that's not really good, but yeah. So let's say we have BT5 logo is equal to photo image file is equal to what's the name of that? BT5.gif. BT5.gif. So basically, we're making a variable called BT5 logo, and we're setting it to photo image. And photo image is a thing that comes with Tkinter. And so photo image, and then for the parameters, we write file is equal to BT5.gif. So you need to make sure that it's in the same directory as your Python file. So here's our Python file, and here's the image. So we have that, and then we can create a new label called image label, and we make a label. Text, we don't have a text. I'm gonna write image is equal to BT5 logo. And so if you run it, nothing will appear because we haven't called it yet. So we'll do image label dot grid, and then let's say that we want it below everything. So let's say column is equal to 0, row is equal to 2. So it'll be below the two labels. And so if we run this, we should get an image. Yeah. And so currently it's only in column 1, and so let's say we were to add column span 2. So column span is equal to 2, so it'll span the two columns, and so it'll be more or less centered. So yeah, that's about it. And we can make it, I'm pretty sure you can make it stick to the left. So let's say sticky is equal to west. So yeah, so it's on the left side now. Also, let's say that you don't want the person using your program to resize the window, because, for example, in this case, if you resize it, there's nothing here, and it just makes it look ugly, and there's no use of resizing it. And so to restrict users from resizing the window, you can use root.resizable. There we go. False, comma false. And basically what this says is it restricts the user from resizing the window. Pretty much it. So here, there's no arrow, so you can't even resize it at all. So that's about it for the screen recording. I've gone over pretty much everything in labels. We'll be learning more things throughout the course. There's some other things related to the window and stuff that basically you'll learn on the way. So yeah, thank you, and I hope to see you next class.